Hello and welcome to Fish Fingers and Custard, the Explosion Network's Doctor Who Aftershow. This week, it's time to get into the nitty-gritty, break down Series 11 in full. My name is Blight. Joining me, Ashley Hobley.
Hey, Dylan.
Hello, Ashley. Are you excited to go over the season as a whole?
Yeah, sure. It's going to be months before we talk about Doctor Who ever again, so...
Yeah, well, with the New Year's, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But so what we're going to do this week is just kind of give overall thoughts of the season, if anything's just how you felt about it as an entire package. And then we're going to go through, taking turns, and we're going to rank the episodes from personal list 10 to 1. And then by the end of it, using maths, go the average of the highest rated episodes deems this episode the Explosion Network's number one Series 11 Doctor Who episode of all time, forever and ever and ever. That's pretty much how we're going to do it. Back forward, talk about the episodes, rank them, talk about them as we go, see how it goes. It's pretty much what we do, the finale for all our after shows here on Explosion Network, of which, if you'd like to check out more, we have a Game of Thrones one, an American Gods one, and a Westworld one. More coming.
2 of those will be back next year.
Yeah, 2 of those will be back next year. Not this one. Well, actually, it will be back for 1 episode, but we'll get to that at the end of the episode. All right, so jumping into it, Ash, what are your overall thoughts of the entire season as a whole package?
Yeah, I think it was pretty solid. Not like blow your mind, incredible. But yeah, there was some standout episodes, obviously, and then the bottom of the barrel was not as frequently as reached as it felt like sometimes you can.
Mm-hmm. Especially when...
cared the full season, which...
It's a tick in the box. Yeah. I enjoyed it from start to finish. I fully expect there to at least be 1 crappy episode or 2 crappy episodes or just meh episodes. That's kind of just how it works, I feel, for the most part. So went in knowing that, of course. And also I do feel like the first season of any new Doctor is the most what works, what doesn't work, what works, doesn't work, what works, doesn't work. And then when they get around to the next try, they know the storylines that kind of resonate well for that kind of Doctor and what they can do better with them and what storylines don't really work for them, I guess. My number one takeaway from the series as a whole is, as much as I enjoyed Chris Chibnall coming in and going, look, new Doctor, first female Doctor, we're just going to go full crazy, no Christmas special, all this, breaking all the rules and whatever else. And he's like, no returning monsters, villains from any of Doctor Who's past. Which I kind of liked in premise, but then having an entire season of that just made me feel like there wasn't enough oomph ever, especially with the main villain, which of course I'm not a big fan of at all, with the Tim Shaw.
It would have been fine if they had something cool.
Yeah.
If they had have created something like the Whipping Angels, or if you created something like the Silence.
Yeah.
But to be fair, nothing this season was memorable.
No, I don't feel like, and also I think one of the problems was I feel like you could have gotten rid of some of the crappier episodes and the smaller episodes and potentially done some of the more enjoyable episodes as 2-parters and stretched them out a little bit and got more time with the characters and stuff like that. And I would have preferred that, because there were times where it felt like episodes were rushed. Like even the finale could have been a 2-parter, I feel. You could have built upon that, done a lot of other things. Which fine. I mean, the majority of episodes you could probably stretch to 2 episodes if you need to be. Would they work? I don't know. But it's like I quite enjoyed when Moffat did that season. That was just old 2-parters.
Yeah.
And old school Doctor Who was 4, 6, 8 million episode parters. You know, it was long form episodes. So as much as I do like the one job in out storylines here and there, I think the combination of them all being that, on top of the fact they were all new monsters or storylines and nothing ever returning, I think the combination of all that just made it feel very too wonky. I don't know, nothing really to grab onto, I guess. But overall, I did enjoy the season as a whole. I looked forward to watching it every week. I wasn't really like, oh god, gotta watch it so I can talk about it. It was I was I was enjoying my time with it, and I think especially because when we talked about it in the first episode coming into this season, I was a bit like, didn't really particularly enjoy Peter Capaldi's run towards the end there. Kind of fell off the boat. I had to go back and watch those last couple episodes to come into this season because I just fell off and I was like, I'm kind of bored of this, to be honest. So I feel if I'm going to compare that's how I was feeling to how I'm feeling now, I'm feeling better about Doctor Who this season than I was the previous. So that's a plus for sure. Anything else?
No.
Okay.
How did you feel? The thing is, I think they didn't explore the companions enough. I think Graham had like a full arc. Ryan had half an arc. Yaz had barely anything. So I guess that's something you'll look towards in the next season.
Too many companions. It sounded good in premise, but there really wasn't enough episodes and stuff to really do anything with them. As much as we love Graham. But I mean, half the reason we probably love Graham is because he did seem to get the most attention out of anyone. Right, writing wise, joke.
Or he got the best lines. Or the best moments, yeah.
And Yaz, really the least by far of the whole, all three of them,
She got
by far.
2 episodes.
Yeah. And Ryan's stuff was really kind of tacked on because it was half related to a lot of Graham's stuff when it came to Grace and stuff. So, yeah, the companions didn't really feel fleshed out. And that's probably why it does work better with 1 or 2. 3, it's like we're struggling here. We're struggling here to keep up. All right, let's get into ranking the episodes 10 to 1. What do we think is the best one? But let's start with what we think is the worst one. Ash, what do you got in at number 10?
The Ghost Monument.
The Ghost Monument. That is episode 2.
Episode 2
of the season. And one that we, of course, talked crap on when it came out.
Yep. Has it improved with age?
Why, did you go back and look?
No, just my opinions have not changed.
Okay.
Yeah, it was concerning that the second episode was so boring. But obviously we ended up having nothing to fear. So yeah, I mean, they gave us sniper bots, so
which went so far. They did so much with the sniper bots.
Villains in all of Doctor Who so far. So at least we got that.
Yeah, Ghost Monument is not my number 10. I'll tell you where it falls in just a second because it'll make sense. But I'll say that it is when I went back and I obviously talked so much crap on this episode, and I still do think it is obviously really bad, and it just feels the most. But here's the thing: looking back on it, I'm like, I was enjoying how much I was watching this episode, and I just remember being like, "Wow, Doctor Who's so cinematic now." And like, I was enjoying all that aspect, but the storyline and the characters and the side characters and the nonsense kind of plot and all that sort of stuff, and then the horrible fucking sniper bots, which were the least threatening thing we've had in some time. And I'd still say probably the least threatening thing of the entire series. And that's why it was so much funnier when they arrive in the finale, and it's like, "Hey, remember them? Yeah." Kick them over. They're not going to hit you. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Not good. However, when I was thinking back from my list, I decided I'd put one above or below this. So Ghost Monument is my number 9. And number 10, I've got Arachnids in the UK.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So when I was thinking back about it, I really hated that. I think with time I disliked it more, maybe, because every time I just thought back on it, as much as I understood what I was going for with the whole Donald Trump or whatever it was, you know, the business dude or whatever it was, you know, the hotel manager,
Yeah.
whatever it was, all that sort of stuff. Look, the more I thought about it, the more I just hated that actor and his performance. And it annoyed me. It rubbed me horribly the wrong way. And then I also found the spider plot to be silly by the end. Remember, I thought they set it up so well, and then they just the ending into not being anything interesting or substantial, really, and how it all plays off at the end. I didn't really like with how the queen spider dies and everything else. Yeah, so. And the special effects in this episode, out of all, I think are the worst also, because they have the most CGI, like spiders running around more so. And I just, looking back on it, this episode feels the most like a 2005 episode of Doctor Who, or 2006, you know, just overall. So that's my number 10, and my number 9, Ghost Monument. What is your number 9 though?
My number 9 is Kablam.
Kablam?
Yeah.
Really? Okay. Yeah, why's that?
Yeah, I don't know. It just didn't click. I don't know. Yeah, there just weren't as many elements I liked out of that episode. That I think there's more elements out of other episodes that I preferred more. So, yeah. Kablam, number 9.
I'm sorry. I had Kablam at number 7.
Okay.
And it kind of get if as I mean, there's 10 episodes. If it's at number 7, it's creeping closer to being at number 5. And it's kind of just because in my mind it was one of the more like, you know, it's just it's okay, I guess. It's fine. It felt like the storyline wise, it felt like a kind of typical Doctor Who story, I guess. More so than a lot of the others, it kind of just felt like your typical story out of Doctor Who, but once again, I feel like the ending wasn't as good as the setup and everything we got coming before it, because walking around the warehouse, watching people walk around the warehouse. I'm in it, Ash. I'm in the VR headset walking around is is what's happening for me. But yeah, watching everyone just walking through, meeting on these characters. They were interesting characters. It was an interesting premise. It was an interesting warehouse and all these other sorts of things. But then by the time you get to the end, it's the payoff to it all just felt not worth.
There's a lot of plot holes.
Yeah.
I mean, trying to explain why different things were happening, just inventing stuff that was never explained.
Well, you know, that's what
And then the Doctor just lets the guy die.
Yeah, well, that's true.
This Doctor who's so set on not killing anybody.
Yeah. But that guy, can you make it up here? No. All right.
No.
All right, bye.
No. You could have made the robots open it anywhere.
Yeah, but it's right here.
You have to right in that warehouse, yes. So.
Yeah. Okay, so what is your number 8 then?
My number 8 is Arachnids in the UK.
Oh,
yeah.
There you go. Arachnids in the UK at number 8.
I think I liked it more.
Well, you liked it more.
Just a little bit more. Obviously, I wasn't as off put by the spiders.
Yeah.
I didn't really.
Liked it the whole 2 places above where I put it.
I mean, how can you go past them playing a rap song to catch all these spiders?
That is true. I nearly forgot about that amazing moment. How could I forget? My number 8 is here we go. The Battle of Rayenskov Av Kolos is what my number 8 is.
Okay.
The season finale, of course, we just talked about it the previous episode, so it's the most recent episode we've watched. A week out, I pretty much just feel the exact same. Weak finale, weak villain. Stakes weren't high enough, or they didn't feel as high as they were trying to tell me they were, and the finale didn't give me a Doctor Who finale feeling. You know, I want to walk away with this magical, this person just saved the galaxy, it's amazing, oh, I want to get in that TARDIS and have journeys within time. And most finales have this big epicness to them and great emotional moments and whatever else, but
That's been this season, though. It hasn't been like a overarching story. Everything's been standalone. Other than the Graham thing.
Yeah.
That is the only thing that's really carried over.
Yeah, but it's like if you're going to bring one thing back and you're going to make your one returning villain be the season finale villain, you'd think they'd at least make it cool, I guess. Or
what?
pay
Teeth
off.
aren't cool?
Teeth are cool. They help me. They do help me eat. That's all I'll say. They do help me eat. So
okay, I'm not defending this because this is number 7 on my list. So only one more. One split up, but
because it sounded like he was defending it. You're like, look, Dylan, this is number 1.
No,
so got anything else to say about it, or?
I mean, at least we got that Graham payoff, and yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah, listen to last week's episode. We had problems.
Yeah. What is your number? Oh, fuck, it gets confusing. 6 is what we're up to, right?
My number 6 is the Saranga conundrum.
I'll give it out right now. My number 6 is also the Saranga problem.
Conundrum.
Conundrum. Yeah, so we tie up on that one.
Yeah. I mean, that was just a fun episode. Amusing, nothing too special other than seeing a man give birth to a child.
Which was good.
That was pretty cool. Cutest alien, but most destructive. Yeah.
I thought the what was it? Pating.
Fun to say Pating.
Yeah, it does it. Pating, most creative, better name than Tim Shaw is what all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Villain of the season. Overall, I do like this episode, but it's just I like it, but it's nothing spectacularly. I mean, nothing really stands out, but at the same time, it's nothing I really dislike about it. It's an episode, but it's an episode I've seen a million times because Doctor Who have done a lot of these stranded spaceship. TARDIS lands inside it. There's a couple of people or crew or whatever. Like this is a atypical kind of Doctor Who scenario, just with different monster and characters inside it. So that's probably why it was never really stood a chance of standing out to be something special, I suppose. Yeah. Okay, my number. What was that? 6. My number 5 is the Witchfinders, episode 8. Best guest performance of the season by far, easily. Once again, I feel like the lows of this episode could have been a lot lower if the highs went as high. And by highs, I mean it kind of is just carried by this performance and the loudness of it, I guess. But it doesn't get too silly, even though it kind of is silly. Yeah. It's also the first episode, one of the only, well, there's a few, but this episode more than others directly kind of puts the Doctor, the only time they kind of put the Doctor directly into a place of, hey, you couldn't have done this storyline if it was any other previous Doctor, but then they don't take it far enough, I don't think. Like they could have taken it way further.
How much further could you?
I think they could have done it because I still think a lot of it was like, it wasn't forefront storyline. It was like,
they called her a witch and dunked her in the water.
I know, but I still feel it was subtle and a lot of people could miss it because a lot of people like who may not know like the.
What did you want her to outright say? I used to be a man.
No. I just think I feel like they could have done more with it. Like once you're already in that premise, in that time period, and you're going as far as dunking her and all these sorts of things, it's like just commit to it. Just go full balls here. Let's go balls to the wall weirder with this. Let's just go there. Do some crazy things. I don't really know what. I just felt like it didn't quite reach its potential. And then once again, like a lot of episodes, by the time we reach the end, the finale, the payoff to the villain wasn't as good as the rest of the episode. It was just okay. You chuck them back in the tree. Good job. That was exciting. That's great, everyone. So yeah, that's my number 5. What is your number 5?
My number 5 is The Woman Who Fell to Earth.
The opening episode,
premiere
episode.
I think I would have liked it more if Tim Shaw didn't come back.
You reckon? Like in retrospective, it would have helped you just.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I don't. I think his return kind of sours me on it because that was he's not a good character.
No.
And because of this episode, we had to see more of him.
Yeah, that's true. I had this one at number 4, so only just above you.
That's cool because I had Witchfinders at number 4.
It's so funny how this stuff kind of works out sometimes. It's like, okay, that works.
It's not surprising because I think there were clearly better episodes, and there were clear distinctions between the best episodes, the middle episodes, and
well, they usually is, I suppose.
Yeah.
I thought the premiere episode was good. I kind of feel like you at the same, like I went back and looked at my review that I wrote for it, right? And I sound a lot happier with it than I am now. And if I had to pinpoint a reason, it probably is the same as you, where I'm like, the reason I'm more soured on this now is knowing that fucking guy comes back and becomes such a hatred for me for the entire season. I didn't know how much of a problem I would have with him the first time I watched this episode. I didn't know that a week later, episode 2, I'd be like, oh, God. And then I would spend the rest of the season going, yeah, can't wait to get to the season finale. There, he's going to be there. And then he shows up and it's like, oh.
So even more reasons to hate episode 2.
It ruins the whole show. It ruined the season for me. The whole season ruined by that
retroactively ruin the premiere. Yeah.
Yep. So, I mean, good job, everyone.
I mean, it's still good. I mean, top 4 or 5 still. It's like top half.
Oh yeah, we're not saying it's bad.
Pretty great. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, it's good. It's just got retroactively worse. is what's happened.
Is what we're saying,
yeah. All right, so my number 3 then, Demons of the Punjab.
Yep.
I was waiting to see if you'd be like, yeah, I've got it number 3 also.
No.
So really good episode. Interesting time period. Once again, a time period that I haven't seen, at least in new Doctor Who, current Doctor Who timeline, kind of covered like this, that time period and stuff. So, and one of the only episodes of the whole season, which I talked about in the episode when we covered it, that after watching it made me want to go watch fucking Gandhi and stuff. And like, it made me start Googling that time period more, because watching this episode made me want to suddenly read up a little bit more about the history of that time period and stuff, because I was interested by what was happening, which I think is really cool. And not something I want Doctor Who to do every episode or expected to do every episode, but considering that's how the show was designed, to teach kids stuff, to get them interested in history and sciences and these sorts of things, I think if I can watch an episode or two at least once a season, that makes me want to look up something to find out more about it, a real time period, a real event that happened. I think that is a plus, considering it is a kids or family based TV program when it boils down to it. Yeah. What are your thoughts on?
Well, I had it at number 2.
Okay. That knocks out what number 1 is, but yeah, it's fine. Well,
yeah. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was you couldn't stop watching it. I mean, it was like very captivating. Again, super interesting time period. The villain sort of, at least it was an interesting twist on the villain this time, sort of. It seemed to be a common theme through the season where the villain isn't actually a villain. They're just sort of an antagonist or whatever. So
yeah. Well, they did a lot of like monsters or like typical Doctor Who villains who you think are going to be the actual like main villains, and then they switched it to be like, nay, it's the humans and they suck.
The real villain is
racism. Or racism, oppression,
religious prejudice,
religion. Yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was really great.
Yeah, it's really good. Top 3 for sure.
Yeah,
so some would say. What did you have at number 2 then?
I had Demons of Punjab at number 2.
Oh, that's right.
So at number 3,
yes,
I had It Takes You Away.
It Takes You Away, yeah. Which I had at number 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the only reason it's down a little bit is the scenes in the middle world with the weird alien thing. I think that dragged on. even though it was like not very long, it dragged on a little bit. But other than that, freaking incredible episode. Obviously, once they get to the mirror world and you get the emotional hit with Grace coming back, and then it goes batshit crazy after everybody gets booted out of the mirror world, and the Doctor talks to a
Frog.
freaking frog,
Which I love.
so good.
Still thinking back on it. I just love it. This is the weirdest episode of the season by far.
Yeah,
I feel definitely the weirdest.
easily,
yeah. And I kind of love everything about it. And as I said in the episode when we talked about it, I just love how it goes from like it's just constantly changing and evolving, kind of what you think is happening, or you think it's a kind of typical monster escape from this thing. You actually think for a while that there must be something in the woods. You think, it's like constantly changing what you think the villain or what the scenario actually is, or what it's going to end up being. And then after you spend the whole episode being like, what is it? What's going on? What's it? It just ends with like the Doctor talked to a frog. It's like, well, fuck, I don't understand anything anymore. But that was an episode of Doctor Who that I watched. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. I find it funny how decisive I feel it is. It has been. Yeah, like online, a lot of people I've seen hate it and say it's the worst episode of the season. Whereas you and I obviously quite enjoyed it. So
yeah,
it's interesting just to see what people. But
well, some people really like the Ghost Monument, so you can't read anything into it.
I just find it so funny that like, because this, like, people who hate the more historical episodes, and we're about to talk about one that a lot of people didn't like for weird reasons, because if you haven't figured out by now what number one is, you're about to be really, really shocked. But this episode is it's like, it's not historical, it's not anything, and it's the most sci-fi weird one.
Yeah.
It's like, is that what you want? Like, did you want really crazy sci-fi original story type thing happening? Because the story in It Takes You Away, to me, plays out like it could have been written by a younger Stephen King, like, short story, like it could be a sci-fi or horror short story in some novella by some writer or something like that. It kind of just plays out that kind of pace, I feel, and has a nice end to it, I suppose. Like, you could replace the Doctor with another character and the story kind of just still plays out the same kind of way, I suppose. That's the thing. Like, I feel like it could have been another story idea adapted into Doctor Who nicely. I can't remember the writer's name, but it's like, I've had this idea for ages and I've kind of just adapted it into Doctor Who somehow, which worked out nicely for them. Not saying I have any proof for that, but it kind of just feels like it was that kind of story. Okay, and we can crown it now because there's really no reason to maths it at all, because
you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's no reason to maths it. Me and Ash's number one episode, and then by far the Explosion Network's number one episode of Series 11 of Doctor Who is Rosa, episode 3. So why'd this stick to number one throughout the whole year for you, Ash? It was episode 3, and that was the high at episode 3, and then from there, we're all downhill.
Well, I think it was just so different to what I guess everybody sort of expected, and it just hit a lot of social things that I feel like the show hasn't hit, at least in a while. Mm-hmm. Like, it was just a good story as well. Like, and there were like fun elements. The companions all had sort of stories as well. It didn't feel like they were shoehorned in. Especially Ryan, obviously.
This episode, Graham has the least to do.
But he still gets those zingers in.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So, yeah. I have to wonder if I would prefer Demons of Punjab if that had been shown first. Because they're pretty much the same, follow the same sort of arc, and they have the same sort of ending. But, yeah. And it's so heartbreaking that they have to be on that bus at the end.
Yeah. That scene. So. I've rewatched that scene.
Yeah.
That's like, I've gone back and rewatched the entire episode, but I have rewatched that scene 2 or 3 times after, because I thought that scene like was just put together so wonderfully with the song choice, everything. Even though song choice for a lot of people is like a bit too on the nose or something. I'm like, I don't care. You're like, you're going to break my heart. You want the tear ducts going. You've succeeded. You've done it. You've got me right here.
I mean, they could have ended on something else other than the comment or whatever it was.
I don't know. I kind of liked it because it's true. It's not some bullshit made up comment that suddenly the Doctor's making up in this show just for the sake of being like, oh, look, tight back into space or something. Like, Googled it after the episode. Is that a real thing? Is there a comet, Rosa? It's like, yeah, it's comet 23,400 and, something along those lines.
Yes, 23,000 something. There's 23,000 comets. They had to find some historical figure.
But at the same time, it's like, I would never have known that if it hadn't been in the episode.
It's fair.
So, I also find it interesting because this one, like, I knew the story of Rosa Parks.
Yeah.
And I found out after watching this episode and talking about it with more people that a lot of people, or maybe it's just an Australian thing, I don't know her story. So I was wondering, like, how many people for the first time would have been watching this episode going, who is this person? What happens? And then by the time it gets to the end, it's like, oh, shit. Although it's a lot more brutal and horrible, I suppose, the way it plays out in real life, because they kind of just go for the more emotional punch than the actual, because the words the police officers and everything would have been using for a start, like, would have been,
it would have been more horrific,
a lot more horrific, and
it was
straight
probably
up,
toned down.
It was toned down, and I accept that because it is a family friendly kids show, but I feel like they pushed it as far as they could go. Especially with some of the word choices and the aggressiveness, and like, if I was a little kid watching this episode with that bus driver, like, screaming in her face, because they had that close up of his face and he's just like snarling like a fucking wild animal or something, like, that would have scared the shit out of me as a kid. I feel just watching that happening. It's like, why is this crazy guy yelling at this nice lady to get off the bus? But yeah, it's when I think back at a lot of my other favorite Doctor Who episodes, they're either ones that focus heavily on the Doctor and companions, like the storyline kind of plays tightly around them mainly to do with the Doctor or one of the companions or something, like, be that an Amy Rory scenario, which, like, they had a lot of emotional episodes, or one of the Doctor episodes, like Rose, whatever, wherever you want to go. They're usually companion or Doctor related. Or some of my favorite other episodes are just monster episodes. Like, of course, everyone loves Weeping Angels first episode for a reason, because it's Blink, because it's just such a good story that like, take away the Doctor Who aspect, you can probably just sit down someone to watch that episode and they don't need to know anything about Doctor Who to watch it, and they can just watch it as a good, like, 45-minute thriller or something, like mystery along those lines, because for the most part the Doctor isn't really in it for, like, apart from sending tapes, so that just plays out really well. But I think this is one of the first episodes that is, like, kind of one of my favorite episodes of the whole run. I would put it in my favorites. I don't know, like, if it's top 10, top 20, or how I'd go about it, but I definitely think it's one of the best episodes of the series. If I had to pick at least one from every series and add them up, this could be 11. It's at least top 11 if I'm picking one per series, so that's how it's going to work out. But it's only one that's focused on, like, a historical real life event, I feel. Like, the rest are sci-fi, character-based, something like that. So, definitely a different route for the series. And if they're going to look at if they're going to weigh up what people have said online and the feedback that they've got before they go into series 12, I mean, they've got the time to redo some scripts if they're not putting it out until 2020.
Yeah.
Then
aren't they already shooting it though?
I think they just
what I read.
I thought they just said they're going into production next year. Like, they haven't announced it. Yeah, which means most of the scripts would probably be done, but, like, I wouldn't expect all of them to be. But, scrap one, change some things. Looking back now, if we want to look back on, see what we got out of what we just talked about then, it's that most of our favorite episodes were, like, historical. Like, two of our favorite episodes of the whole series between Rosa and then the Demons of the Punjab are historical based ones, which were both episodes that really felt different for Doctor Who. But at the same time, it's so funny to say and think about, because that's how Doctor Who started. First ever episode of Doctor Who, they fucking time travel back to caveman days. Like that's how the show starts. It's not fighting Cybermen or Daleks or anything like that. It's traveling in time. And and everyone's like watching these episodes. It's like, this isn't Doctor Who. This is crazy. It's like, well, it is. It really is. It's not. It's maybe not how you're used to it, but that's how it is. And some of the weaker episodes, and maybe this is how Chris Chibnall. Maybe he should just play to his strengths, and his strengths are more character-based stuff that's to do with real-life characters or just more that stuff. But when it came to doing big villains, like, no. Like, your big villain of the season didn't pay off for me. Your big event didn't really pay off for me. Most of the really big events, arachnids, big fuck-off spiders running through the... No, that wasn't super exciting for me. And also, I don't feel like Jodie's Doctor... like could carry, like I don't think she does well for those types of episodes. You know what I'm saying? Like the more weird like spiders running around the UK type stuff. I could picture, if I had to pick any of the last round of Doctors who I could see doing that episode and kind of just off their charisma, kind of fitting into the episode and making it better just off themselves, David Tennant. Like if I had to pick anyone for weird sci-fi monsters running around the UK or anything like that, it's David Tennant. Because that's just molds better for those types of episode. If I have to pick a Doctor for huge sci-fi, like if I have to pick a Doctor to somehow make the Tim Shaw episodes better, it's Matt Smith. I just feel like him monologuing Tim Shaw about how he sucks and all sorts of things like that, just playfully and all that.
Would have been pretty cool.
I'd still be picking...
Just angry.
I guess, angry. But yeah, I think, looking back on it, the thing that Jodie's Doctor is succeeding in is when it's more just character-based, emotional, smaller moments than big epic sci-fi stuff. So yeah, got any closing thoughts before we wrap up our Series 11 review and ranking?
I hope they give her a more emotional range. It seems like all the time she's just being very, very nice. And I hope we get to see more than just that.
She creeps close a couple times, but she never truly kind of goes there.
Even with the Tim Shaw thing, he's abducted 5 freaking planets. We have to abduct the Earth, and she's like, "Oh,
yeah."
It just perturbs me.
Yeah, but
such an annoyance.
It's true. It's true. I agree. Yeah, like she could have gone off more there. Could have gone off more. Would have been nice if she just really fucking snapped at Graham when he even mentioned the fact of killing someone, instead of just being like, "Look, do what you want to do, but won't take you home. You'll have to get a bus, man." She could have just snapped right there and then, maybe send a bit more anger, because it seems like she gets close, but it doesn't go the full way, which is the annoying thing about it, I find.
Okay. Well, it could be building to when it actually happens.
Yeah, that's true. Could be, which I'm fine with, but I just don't have faith in at the moment, I suppose, is the problem. I don't. I'm not 100% sure if I can believe that. Whereas if it was a typical drama show and it wasn't Doctor Who, where I'm not sure how they're treating it. I'm not sure how Chibnall's treating it. If it was Stephen Moffat still, I would know that he's going to play this out for fucking 2 more seasons and we'll have payoff. We'll have payoff eventually of some sort, because he just builds stuff. I don't know how Chibnall's running the show, because especially given the fact that he's so wants to do these one-off episodes, like just wants the show to be, you don't really need to pay attention. No overarching story really, or much of any overarching story, and just typical one-shot episodes. That doesn't like scream payoff to a 2-season, 3-season emotional story arc to me. You know, it's like, don't know. But anyway, we will see yous all in 2 weeks' time for when.
What? 2 weeks?
Yeah, I know.
It's not long at all.
It's not very long at all, but it's 2 weeks break, Ash, to recuperate, get ready for one more episode of Doctor Who in the new year, of course, when the New Year's Day special airs. Still not sure when it's airing in Australia officially, like a spot on time, but just presume it's around the same time. So it'd be like 5 a.m.
Probably like 2nd.
Yeah, 5 a.m. on the 2nd. Yeah. Or whatever time, because I think they put up on iView at 5 a.m. on the 2nd, or whatever time it is in the UK.
I assume it's in the same time slot.
Yeah, and then I'll probably, you'd think so, surely. It would be weird if it wasn't. And then I'll probably air at 6 p.m. or whatever it is that it airs on ABC, or has been airing. I don't know. I watch it on iView. There you go. But yeah, 2 weeks time, we'll be talking about New Year's Day specials. That's exciting. I'm not going to go over it all again because we talked about it last week, but hopefully Daleks. I would be really excited for something like that after an entire season of new monsters, new things. So hopefully Daleks or something along those lines. If not, and it's still something cool, sure, I'm just going to go in semi-open-minded. I'm 100% willing to admit that I'm going a little bit, at least like 15-20% of a please be Daleks at this stage, but I can't help it after the trailer they give me. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Fish Fingers and Custard. You can find us over at twitch.tv/Explosion Network when we record the show live. This episode wasn't recorded live because of an error of judgment between Explosion Network members, and it was recorded offline. But I'll probably maybe still put up on Twitch as a VOD, and then it was there, and we'll just pretend it was recorded live. Hey, audience, how are you going? But usually we record it live at twitch.tv/Explosion Network, where you can join in the conversation, of course. Give us your thoughts on what we're talking about as it's happening. So if you want to do that for the New Year's Day special, there's a chance for it to happen. You can watch the video later, youtube.com/Explosion Network, of course, and then you can find the podcast version, the audio-only version, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pocket Casts, all the other podcasting services that you want to use. Or you can find our links to all those things and watch it in your web browser if you wish. Of course, at explosionnetwork.com, where you can find this show, many other great shows, previous episodes. What do you want to watch? Where we talk about all other sorts of movies and TV shows and sorts of things. It's a good way to go about it, since if you like this, I presume you have a TV. Connections.
Yeah, you probably watch things.
You probably watch things, so there's at least a connection there for that. You can follow the Explosion Network on Twitter at Explosion Pod. You can follow me on Twitter at Vivaladil, VIVALADIL. You can follow Ash on Twitter at Ashley Hobley, ASHLEY, And for the last time this year, Ash, sign off the episode.
So have you done the math yet?
What math?
You're going to make it the definitive list, right?
Oh, look, I didn't really bother, but so you had Rosa at number 1 because it had a total of 2 points. You had a tie between It Takes You Away and Demons of Punjab with 5 points each. Then you had a tie between The Witchfinders and The Woman Who Fell to Earth, both with 9 points. And then you had the Tasunga Conundrum on 12 points. Then you had the Battle of Ranskow Kolos on 15 points. Then the Ghost Monument on 19 points at last.
Okay, good. So we can officially confirm Ghost Monument worst episode.
It was officially the worst. All right, bye.
Great. Bye.